What's going on, you guys? Mr. Money1335 here yet again. Long time no see, but you know what? I've been spending time with my family, having fun over the holidays. I hope everybody had a Merry Christmas. Gonna try to get back into the regular swing of things. I know a whole lot of the people who normally watch me have probably left, gotten sick of waiting, and that's okay, because mostly I'm doing this just for me. And I don't have a consistent upload schedule, I really don't, and I don't really care, and I don't really care to have one. And if people come back and watch, that's great, but if they don't, whatever, it's fine. So anyway, like I said, I hope everyone had a Merry Christmas. I sure as shit know I did. Woo! I was listening to a little bit of Daft Punk on the way home, but I got a new iPod for all my music, and I also got a PS4, which is really sweet. So I've been enjoying the hell out of that, but I thought it was time to bring you guys my top 15 albums of 2013. Hell yeah! It's been one hell of a year for music, and I've gotten into so many artists and albums that I would never dream of getting into. Because of you guys, because of the internet, it's just been really fun discovering new things, and I can't wait for 2014. I already have a few albums I'm anticipating for the next year, namely the brand new one from Sleigh Bells, which I'm really excited about. But let's go ahead and get this started, and maybe we'll talk about that later in a future video. Anticipated albums. So yeah, let's go ahead and get this list started. At number 15, we have Kavinsky Outrun. I'm a really huge fan of electronic music, and this album just really took me by surprise. I really enjoy the production on this album. I really enjoy the cool nighttime style that this album has going for it. Not all of the tracks are winners for me, and I still haven't really warmed up to them a whole lot since my last review of this album, but it still makes this list because it's really special to me. I really like a whole lot of the songs on it. It's just like, the songs that I love on this album, I'm going to be listening to for a really long time, so I have to thank this album for it. So, Kavinsky Outrun. It deserves a spot on this list. At number 14, we have Yeezus by Kanye West. Trust me, I was about as surprised with this one as you were, but honestly, it took me forever to get into this thing. When I first listened to it and reviewed it, I really didn't delve too deep into the sounds on this album, but after repeated listens, I've really seen the beauty and the genius in this album. There's a whole lot more things to it than just a normal rap album. There's really cool instrumental breaks, really cool choruses, some really beautiful moments show up on this album, along with the really harsh electronics that appeal to me. And, I'm sorry, I've just really been enjoying it lately, so it just hopped on this list unexpectedly. No fucks to give. At number 13, we have Foreverly by Billie Joe and Norah Jones. I've really opened up my ears a whole lot this year to other types of music, and country music has been one that's really been growing on me a whole lot lately, especially the old style country. And Billie Joe and Norah Jones on this album took a whole bunch of Americana folk songs and made them their own. And they didn't do anything to modernize them, they just stuck with the normal folk instrumentation, which I'm really enjoying, and I think they did this album great justice. I love their voices together, and this album just keeps on getting better and better to me. So anyway, Billie Joe and Norah Jones, Foreverly. Loving the sounds on this album. At number 12, we have Studio Killers' debut album. Being such a big fan of the Gorillaz, I've really gotten into this album because of the whole animated band concept that I find really interesting. This is just another band that kind of has another take on that, but they do it in like an 80s synth pop style. And this album I really attached to this album from the first listen. I thought the songs were really catchy. I really like the electronic music going on in the background of this record. And I think the songs are really good. I'm still not too hot on the really last song on this album, but I don't think that demotes the album at all because I really, really love like every other song on this CD. So, Studio Killers, check it out. They're a cool band. At number 11, we have Vampire Weekend, Modern Vampires of the City. Now, my review of this album is pretty much infamous on this channel right now. I had so much hate in my very first review of this album because I didn't really like it after the first few listens. But honestly, this album really came around on me, and just my head and listening to it, it was just like something clicked, and I really saw the beauty in this album, and I absolutely love it now. Is it my favorite Vampire Weekend album? I'm not really sure. A whole lot of people say it's their best one, but I'm pretty sure that their first album is probably the best one. But Vampire Weekend, Modern Vampires of the City are really a genius work. It's really, really good. Love this album. Getting at the top 10. Number 10, True by Avicii. I really love electronic music, I say it again, But this guy incorporates it along with a little bit of like a country flair and a little bit more of the normal EDM style, and I really enjoy what he does on this record. And I think the songs are really catchy, they're fun to sing along to, some of them really hit an emotional peak to me, and I just think his production and his melodies are really strong, really memorable. So this album is really great for that. There is definitely some huge standouts, and probably some of my favorite electronic songs of all time are found on this album. So definitely deserves to be on this list. At number 9, we have Migrant by The Deer Hunter. This is an album that was recommended by one of you guys, and I absolutely love you for it, because this album has been playing off and on all throughout this year since I got into it, and I really love it. The songwriting on this album, the really tenderness of his voice, the instrumentation on this album, the melodies, everything just really stands out to me, and it's really unique. I don't really have a whole lot of albums that sound like this in my collection, so I'm really enjoying this record a whole lot, and I've been really getting into The Deer Hunter ever since this album, so thank you. Love this thing. At number 8, we have Mansa Pater, Dusk to Dawn. I got into this guy from just clicking around YouTube, honestly, a few electronica albums, and then I kind of came upon this guy by accident, and I found his website, absolutely loved the type of kind of like slow, ambient, quiet, relaxing music that he produces, and I absolutely fell in love with his newest album from this year. This album is so perfect for just like lying down on a couch and falling asleep, or typing a paper, or studying. I got into so much different types of music this year that I think this has been one of my most variety-filled years yet, and I absolutely love variety. I love all different types of music, and this has been one of the best years for it, in my opinion. So this is just another one of those genres and another different type of album on this list to recommend to you guys. So check it out, Mansa Pater. He deserves a whole lot more attention than he's getting, I think. At number 7, we have Kyary Pamu Pamu, Nada Collection. I absolutely love how bubbly and happy the melodies of this album. They're so much fun. If you can get over the language barrier, you are going to have so much fucking fun with this album. I've been having so much fun with it. I listen to songs from this album at least once a week. There are so many huge favorite songs on this album from me. Actually, I think my favorite song from this year can be found on this album, Ninja Re Bang Bang. So definitely check out this album. Check out the music videos for Ninja Re Bang Bang and Invader Invader. You are missing out. She is awesome. I absolutely love this Japanese pop star. I've been getting into more stuff from her that's not found in this album, but Nada Collection is a great way to start. Check this shit out. You are missing out. If you just get over that language barrier, you're going to have a whole lot of fun with this pop album. At number 6, we have Sleigh Bells, Bitter Rivals. I absolutely love Sleigh Bells' first album, Treats, but their album, Reign of Terror, totally disappointed me. I thought the album was way too repetitive, way too boring. There was only like 3 songs that I really liked from that record. And so when I heard that Sleigh Bells were coming out with a new album, I was a little bit hesitant, honestly, but I have really been getting into this album. I think they finally found their roots. I think they found a more melodic feel. The vocals stand out a little bit more than on their past work, and I just think it's awesome. Songs like Tiger Kit and Bitter Rivals and 24, Lovesick. There's just something so awesome about this album, the way that the melodies are developed and the way the vocals stand out more, that I think make it my new favorite Sleigh Bells album. So definitely check this one out as well. Okay, you guys, we're in my top 5 favorite albums of 2013. Starting with Paul McCartney, New. I said it in my review, and I will say it again. Paul McCartney is a genius. Still, after so many years from leaving the Beatles, Paul McCartney has been able to put out so many historically famous albums, and New is just another chapter in this catalog, I think. The songs on here are still epic, the songwriting is still amazing, there's still some songs reminiscent of the Beatles on this thing. I absolutely love New. I think it's a perfect album. Even the deluxe edition, I'm really enjoying a whole lot of the songs from that as well. Get Paul McCartney New. You are missing out some really epic songs from one of the most famous Beatles of all time. At number 4, we have Daft Punk, Random Access Memories. This was in my top 3 favorite albums for the longest time until I heard all of these other ones, but honestly, this album still hangs up there. I absolutely love the variety of music that this album gives to you. Stuff in like soul and ambient and hip-hop, and along with a little bit of like country vibes, especially on the song Fragments of Time. This album is just a celebration of music, and I can definitely tell that from this album. When I'm driving at night alone in my car, I could just turn on songs like Beyond or Motherboard and just have the perfect atmosphere for that. But when I want to get something a little bit more exciting, I can turn on Give Life Back to Music or Get Lucky. If I want something a little bit more epic, I can put on the song Touch. There's just so many ways that you can spin this record, and I love that for it. And that's why it deserves to be in the top 5 of this list. At number 3, we have Panic at the Disco. Too Weird to Live, Too Rare to Die. I absolutely love this record and think it's one of Panic at the Disco's greatest. I love the 80s influence style that Panic at the Disco have going on this record. I think it's really unique. I think it's Panic at the Disco doing something once again that they've never done before, like they do on almost all of their albums. Maybe besides Vices and Virtues, which is a huge return to their first album, but I think Too Weird to Live, Too Rare to Die is just a great album showing Panic at the Disco doing something totally different. And, you know, I'm just going to be spinning this record for the longest time, just as I am every single other Panic at the Disco album. Every single Panic at the Disco album they've came out with has been absolutely perfect, and I expect no less on their next album. At number 2, we have Cage the Elephant. Allophobia. Holy shit, you guys, did this album take me by surprise. When I first listened to this thing, I was not expecting to like it. In fact, the first few spins, I didn't really like this record. But now, as soon as I start this album, Spiderhead, as soon as that track comes up, I've already listened to all 10 songs on this album. I absolutely love it! And it's just so hard for me to stop listening to this when I put it on. I think the melodies are great, the songwriting is really good, every song is different and memorable. Absolutely love this record. It's the perfect balance of chaos and melodic togetherness. This album just captures both of those sides perfectly. Where on their earlier albums, I thought Cage the Elephant was just a whole lot more chaotic, more than melodic. But I think this album shows a great deal of both, and that's why I think it's probably the best Cage the Elephant album yet. And my number 1 favorite album of 2013 comes as no fucking surprise to anybody who watches me on this channel. Like Clockwork by Queens of the fucking Stone Age. Yes! I am so happy that I got to see these guys live this year because that show just cemented its place in this spot for me. I absolutely love what Queens of the Stone Age did with this thing. It was one of my most anticipated albums of this year ever since 2012. And I absolutely love this record. It did not disappoint me one bit. I absolutely love the more moodier vibe that Queens of the Stone Age have going on this album. Songs like The Vampire, A Time of Memory, and Like Clockwork, it's just so much different than what they've done in the past. Nobody expected for them to have a few piano ballads on here, but honestly, The Vampire, A Time of Memory is one of my favorite songs on this album. Just every single song, every single riff, every single melody, just so fucking perfect. The songwriting is so damn good. I absolutely love this album, and I'm so glad I finally got to see Queens of the Stone Age live and play these songs right in my fucking face. Not to mention Smooth Sailing being another one of my favorite songs of this year. So guys, as you can tell, I got into a whole lot more music than I thought I would this year. I got into a whole lot more genres of music than I thought I would this year. These are some of the highest tiered albums I've heard in a really long time, honestly. If you go back and watch my top 10 albums of 2011 and 2012 videos, those albums just don't even compare to some of the albums that I've been talking about in this video. But that's the glorious thing. It just makes me excited for 2014. So stay tuned, you guys. Even though I don't put out videos that often, I'm still going to be actively working on this channel, uploading videos, okay? It may not be as often as most YouTubers, but I'm going to try my best to put out as many album reviews as I can of things that I'm interested in listening to. So go check out these records if you haven't heard them. Mr. Money 1 2 3 5. I'll see you guys in 2014.